Start her up. Melissa.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We're going to review the financial statements ending June 31st, July 31st. After 4 months ending July 31st, the authority is reporting no consolidated operating income or loss. This is very consistent with last month. As of July 31st, operating revenues total just under $4.4 million. Operating revenues are performing 3.3% over budget, 8.6% over prior year, and 15.5% over fiscal year 2025. The favorable budget and prior year variances associated with regular line revenue can be attributed to higher than anticipated farebox and passenger revenue. Farebox revenue continues to trend 5.5% over the same periods in prior year. And the unanticipated large single ride pass purchase from Syracuse City School District still continues to contribute to that variance. Favorable year-over-year variances are driven by special line revenue, which is continually being driven by rate increases for contract services and services requested by Amazon. Advertising and other revenue variances continue to be driven by the lease contract rate increases that happen yearly, increases in the parking revenue at the RTC, and the annual increase for our transit advertising revenue. Any questions on our operating revenues?
Nice job.
Thank you. As of July 31st, operating expenses total $32.3 million. Personnel expenses total $22.6 million. All personnel expenses categories are under budget with exception to workers' compensation. The variance reflects, the remaining variances reflect favorably for wages, benefits, and the related costs. Notable year-over-year variances include healthcare expense. These are trending higher. UMR expenses are for active and retired employees are higher. There has been almost 12,000 more services provided in current year compared to the prior year. Blue Cross and Blue Shield is also trending higher and has increased by 21.5%. Worker comp variance is a result of some legacy claims. These are the claims that we 100% insure.
Can you just explain that bit about the legacy, what the legacy means?
So the legacy claims are worker comp claims that were covered by our old Comco workers' comp insurance in
Prior to 2000.
2000, okay. And then once we transferred, we had a couple of different things, but currently we are with Travelers and we are only self-insured for the first $150,000. Any other questions? For non-personnel expenses, they total $9.7 million. The most notable variances are with risk management. These variances are driven by increases in excess liability as well as expenses associated with prior year auto GL claims. Purchase transportation expense variances are both budgeted and year-over-year variances are due to demand. And service expense year-over-year variances is largely related to tires and tubes in Portland, electrical work, sprinklers, pits and drain clean out, security, and one-time services provided by vendors. Any questions in regards to the expenses? So in summary, personnel expenses are 8.1% under budget, 7.1% over prior year. Non-personnel expenses are relatively on budget and 6.6% over prior year. And overall expenses are 6.1% under budget, 7% over prior year, and 16% over fiscal year 16. non-operating revenue totals 27.9 million, which is performing 4.7% under budget, 2.5 over prior year, and 8% over fiscal year 2025. Operating assistance variances are associated with the increase of STOA, which is being offset by conserved preventative maintenance funds. Mortgage recording tax are exceeding budget expectations by 25% and 2.1% over prior year. And investments are exceeding budget by more than 100% and are performing at 24% over prior year. Any questions in regards to the non-operating revenue? Into the supplemental reports, again, mortgage recording tax received in July were 1 million, are performing 25% over budget, 2.1% over prior year, and 42% over fiscal year 2025. In regards to our investments, unrestricted operating cash totals just under 8.2 million as of July 31st, with uninvested board designated funds, I misspoke. Unrestricted operating cash totals 8.2 million. Unrestricted board designated funds total 441,000, with a total uninvested cash of 8.6 million. In regards to our treasury investments, we currently have just under $10.4 million in operating funds invested and a total of 20.1 million in board designated funds invested. Yields are improving with the longer durations. We were able to secure in the month of July interest rate for the 12-month yield term. It's a good time. Any questions in regards to the treasury? And lastly is our cash. During the month of July, operating cash receipts totaled 1.8 million. Cash utilized for daily operations totaled 9.6 million. And 3.9 million was transferred from operating investments to ensure adequate cash flow for the month of August. We also received just under 1.5 million in federal and state reimbursements and purchased 862,000 in capital assets. Any questions in regards to the cash flow? There's no questions, then that, okay, the financial statement.
Going back to the operating expenses,
Yeah,
5.2 million divided by 32.3, so the health insurance represents about 16% of our operating expenses. Just wanted to point that out.
yeah,
That's a big percent.
yeah.
As we're talking down here about, I think between healthcare and prescription drugs, it's like 14 million a year total for our operating budget.
Okay, and that's part of the,
Correct.
which is very robust. I mean, most private employers don't have that type of benefit.
Similar to
Yes,
agencies.
yeah, municipal, so it's very robust, so it might want to be pointed out to the employees how generous it is.
Any other questions? Without any other questions, that is,
Motion to accept the finance report. Brown, Julius. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move right into resolutions here. Caitlin? Caitlin's gonna talk to us about Clever Insight software. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. So this purchase will be paid for with grant funds, an 80-10-10 split between federal, state, and local funds. As you're all aware, we currently utilize Clever Device software to support our fixed route operations. This module, Clever Insights, is for module that we currently utilize for our ridership analysis. The total cost for the 3-year agreement is $268,955.20. And this is a sole source procurement as the software is proprietary to Clever Devices. So we're looking for authorization to enter into an agreement with Clever.
Clever's been with us a long time.
20 years.
Yeah. Long time. Questions for Caitlin and Clever? If not, may I have a motion? Colleen, second. Julius, any discussion?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
Oswego County will need to abstain from voting on the MRT tax initiatives for the time being.
Okay, that's, just to let the board know, there's been, Oswego's requested some information on the MRT tax for that county that's generated. And so I know staff is working on that right now. And, that should be done pretty shortly.
Yes.
We'll provide that to you so we can provide it also to the, leadership there.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Totally understood. Okay, so, a motion second, we have an abstention coming. All in favor? Okay, we have one abstention, we have that noted, correct? Okay, very good. And I'm assuming this is gonna be for most of the things with any local share.
Yes.
Okay. Caitlin, since you're up there, bulk engine oil purchase.
This will be paid for with operating funds. This invitation to bid was publicly let on June 25th. 10 vendors were invited and 17 bid packages were downloaded. On July 21st, we received one bid from the lowest responsible bidder, Aeromat Corporation. They offered a price of $22.50 for the bulk oil engine oil. And with an approximately a 4,500 gallon drop, that gets us just over that $100,000 mark for the board approval. About $101,000 is what we're expecting for this purchase. So we're looking for award to Aeromat Corporation.
Caitlin, do you know what it was prior, just prior, because I know we had only one bid on this.
Yeah,
What was it per gallon?
around, I believe it was somewhere between $15 or $17 per gallon. Is
Okay,
that
so that's all
accurate?
attributed to the,
Maybe even be 18.
it's,
Sorry, I was just checking with Chris to see if he knew
well,
for
that's
the
okay.
day-to-day.
But that's all contributed to the spike in
Yes,
petroleum in the
which
oil.
is one of the
Correct.
reasons why we're doing such a large drop, so
Yeah.
we can get the price in now, because it's just expected to continue to increase in the next 6 to 8 months.
Chris, I just want you to mention that, let's make sure the board knows, we, we locked in, correct?
For fuel, yes.
For fuel, we locked in, and that's why we haven't seen that.
Yeah, we're not getting hit with the increases on the Iran conflict right now, so we're locked in for both diesel and natural gas into March of next year. So we'll start this fall canvassing the market and getting that price to lock in again. So we're locked in at $2.76 on diesel, and I think 56 cents a gallon equivalent on natural gas.
You say that's locked in for a year?
It'll be that's locked in. We lock it in for a year, for a 12-month period, but that'll be locked in until March of 27. So,
You need to say that. You need to go.
you're okay, very well. Sorry,
And
that's
then
it.
you need to go up.
So yeah, Jeff will start canvassing with our providers this fall
Yeah,
to start seeing the market, and it's
yeah.
it's like the stock market. You watch it go up and down and buy when it's low, and watch it rise after we've locked in.
Okay, so, I just want everybody to understand that petroleum, it's up, if you fill in your own gas tanks, everything's being affected, so. With that, I need a motion. Heather, second, Robert, any discussion, all in favor? Aye. Thanks, Dave. Okay. Chris, you're gonna talk about please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone.
Thanks. Wayne?
This contract will be paid for with operating funds. The invitation for bid was publicly let on July 10th. 3 vendors were invited. In total, 19 bid packages were downloaded. On July 31st, 1 bid was received, with the lowest responsible bidder being Bridgestone Tire America's Operation. A full waiver for MWBE participation was approved by New York State Empire Development on this contract. Therefore, it is our recommendation that the board award the contract for the tire lease program to Bridgestone for a full 5-year term. The contract would commence May 1st of 27.
Do we have Bridgestone before? I can't remember.
There are
There are
incumbent.
They've been now about 10 years, Jeff.
Yes.
Yeah, long time.
Have you done business with this company before?
Yep.
Yes, they currently have the contract, or are incumbent.
Okay, I'll make a motion. Julia, second. Neil, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, Jay. Jay's gonna talk to us about the equipment vehicle services.
Mr. Chairman, good morning, everybody.
Nancy,
The
we're
first
gonna stay
one,
up here for 3D, I guess 2 of them explain to the group why.
the first one is Lift Equip Vehicle Services A. This contract will pay for funds, invitation for bid publicly let on June 15th. 21 vendors were invited, 9 of which were sent to New York State certified minority women business enterprises, and a total of 20 bid packages were downloaded. On July 8th, 4 bids were received, with the lowest responsive bidder being Suburban Transportation. A full waiver for MWBE participation was approved by the New York State Empire State Development on this contract, and therefore it is our recommendation that the board award the contract for Lift Equip Vehicle Services A to Suburban Transportation for a 5-year term commencing March 1st of 2027. This particular contract is a renewal of an existing contract that will kick off in May. And just when it gets to B, that one is going to be a new contract. And that is why they are separate currently.
So, any questions for Jay? Any questions? All right, motion. Darlene, second. Julius, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. It was, so we have 2 here, so now any other comment on 3E, on the next one?
Yep, and this one is for B, this one is a new contract. This contract will also be paid for with operating funds, and with invitation to bid is also publicly let on June 15th. The same 21 vendors were invited, the same 9 of which were sent to New York State Certified Women and Minority Business Enterprises. In total, 17 bid packages were downloaded. On July 8th, 4 bids were received, with the lowest responsive bidder being Suburban Transportation. A full waiver for MWBE participation is approved by the New York State Empire State Development on this contract. And therefore, it is our recommendation the board award the contract to Lift Equip Vehicle Services B to Suburban Transportation for a 5-year term commencing November 1st of this year.
Okay, very similar. Frank?
The reason for adding this one?
That I'm not sure. Let's see. Josh is in here.
There are always, I know, like, taking, routes from one contract to another, having as-needed routes, so sometimes it's just that we're using too many of the as-needed routes on some contracts, and we need to make them solid routes, right, like always routes. That's the only insight that I have.
And that's, I mean, that's, as we've seen the increase in the budget, the budget has been maintained for purchase transportation with the change in the software, but we are seeing the increase in ridership. We've seen over double-digit increases year over year when Josh does his call list report. The hurdle is the manpower. To bring it in-house or keep it in-house is really relying on, do we have the drivers? And how do we secure that to make sure we can provide the service consistently for 365 days a year? The contracted vendors is the most reliable way we can do that right now. We're actively working on open houses. We just had one a few weeks back. So we're hoping to see a class start in September that's gonna see 30 plus operators. I mean, that's a wish and a prayer, but we need it. We know we need it. I know Frank's advocating and helping us get there.
And it's also the board's goal too. We want the interim.
But it's just, we need the drivers, we gotta stabilize the drivers to be able to do that, so. It's a long-term goal, we've had some conversations with the union, you know, if we can get to certain thresholds, we'll start doing more in-house. And just when we think we're getting close, we end up, you know, losing a few along the way, so. Right now, we're just trying to guarantee and stabilize the service on the street for those that need it. And this is one of the ways we can do that.
Would this be just for Syracuse location?
No, it allows them to do, I believe it allows them to do it in any of the counties.
This is mostly for Onondaga County.
But it does open it up to Cayuga and Oswego and Cortland. Or no, sorry, that's where it was posted. Sorry, yes, I think it's mostly Syracuse. I mean, that's where we're seeing the biggest increase. We've done more in-house in Cayuga County with Scat Band, they're seeing a demand on them, so we brought more work to Centro. And I think Oswego is typically us. I think there's a few times that Suburban's helped in Oswego County, but a lot of it is done in-house in Oswego as well. So predominantly the contracts are here.
Seems like they dropped their pricing too.
Yeah.
Good conversation. Questions more? I have a motion. Darlene? Second? Heather? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Jay, you want to talk about the supervisory vehicle purchase?
This resolution is for the purchase of 4 supervisor vehicles. 3 are replacing Utica vehicles that already exist, and 1 is new for the parking facility. This purchase will be paid for with grant funds with an 80-10-10 split between federal, state, and local respectively. The bid was sent out as a mini bid of the New York State OPS contract and was sent to all 6 required vendors. On August 14th, 1 bid was received from Albany Toyota. Therefore, it is our recommendation that the board authorize a purchase order for $138,041 to Albany Toyota for 4 Toyota RAV4s.
It's very similar to like state contract pricing too,
Yeah.
because they're preferred. For state contract pricing, that vendor would probably be on the list, or they'd come under state contract probably.
Yes, I have to send it to, there is a list for every manufacturer out there, and
Right.
depending on whether or not you want to buy or lease, and there's a distribution tool that gets sent to, and then it has to go to all of the vendors that are on that list.
Those that you replace, what you do with the one you replace?
Those I do believe will be sold at auction.
Yep, so our process for disposing of assets is they all get listed on public surplus for a total of 21 days.
So with auction, usually, you have that when you're auctioning the car though.
Yeah, it's they're listed on a public website, it's called Public Surplus, and they're listed for 21 days.
Just saw something in the news about RAV4s. They're hot or something right now. Okay, folks, I have a motion. You can abstain. Heather's gonna abstain on the motion. So Julia, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Okay. So we're gonna go back a couple of years. Very good time. We're talking about 1946.
Anytime we could be here.
So, this resolution, as we discussed last month, there's a 46 bus out in the lot here that we received from Rochester.
Or, well, the individual lives in Rochester.
That's the
Right.
right.
Right. So, you know, when you looked, I don't know if anybody went over and looked at it, but you're like, wow, things really come full circle
Here we go.
in so many years, so.
Look as old as me, you
This is the
Yeah.
bus.
See, Julius, I didn't pick on you, because Barry was here, okay? But,
I yield.
but that's, you know, so what do you think we're gonna do with this thing?
So, I mean, I don't wanna, I know Jackie's doing the resolution, but, so a little backstory to the bus is, the bus was originally a bus here in Syracuse from 1946 to 72. Brian, if I'm saying anything wrong, please correct me. The bus was in service here as part of a Syracuse Transit vehicle. The bus ran over 1 million miles in central New York and Syracuse during that time. The bus was kept as a museum piece up until the
82.
82, where a lot of the older buses were then put up for auction or sold. The individual, Jerry, was a kid when these buses were running around Syracuse, took a love for the bus, calls it the smiling bus. If you look at the front end here, it does look like a face smiling at you with the eyes and the mouth. But he took a passion for this style vehicle and purchased this bus for
$126.
there you go. And since then, he has stored the bus in Rochester. He had plans of actually moving it to brand it to be a Rochester bus. There is a logo on the side that says RTS. So where he had the buses stored, and he had multiple buses, but this one was definitely a Syracuse bus. He had to move the vehicle. The storage facility told him he had to move his vehicles out. Without having a place to store them, he reached out to us to see if we would take the bus back. So we had several conversations with him. Bren and George went out and looked at it to see, is this bus even something we would consider? But we were up against the timeline. Last month it was delivered at the time of the board meeting, but he had to move it by the 1st of August. So we discussed with him the opportunities to say we would bring it here. We can store the bus. We don't have a plan right now to do anything with it. One of the hurdles is, what is it gonna cost us? And we have to really look at that. So between the maintenance team and looking at the vehicle, we're gonna do some assessments and figure out what that would cost us to maybe put the bus to be a parade bus, a museum bus, a display bus. Funding for something like this is very specific, I guess, if that's the term I want to use, of what funds we can use to repair this bus.
And there could possibly be some grants out there for this type of.
There is a grant right now in the FTA, but the bus has to be put into line service. So you would have to then make it an active bus in the fleet, which I'm not sure we want to do that. I don't know. I mean, talking with Frank, I know he could probably talk to the drivers. It's fun and it's cool, but a 1946 bus does not have power steering. It does have air brakes.
It is an automatic too.
And it is an automatic,
It
it
was
does.
the first,
Would you
first
think
automatic
about,
bus.
have it up, for instance, where people can donate some funds to have this?
So those are some of the things we're gonna have to explore, Julius, and maybe talk to the Onondaga County Historical Society,
Yeah,
talk to other
yeah.
things. Those are options.
And you probably have it at the state fair too, maybe next
It's-
year.
well,
I don't know. I'm just-
I mean, first things first
Kinda
is,
like a display at the state fair or something.
yeah, but first things first is we have to find a window of just what would need to be done to make this bus run.
Yeah.
And, some of the folks on the union side are excited. One of the pictures, the body shop guys are taking a picture with Jerry in front of the bus. So there's excitement, it's something cool, there's nostalgia here.
Yeah.
If we kept the bus, it would be one thing, it would have been maintained. The one thing about it, the body is aluminum, so certainly it's not rusted out. There's a few panels that can need some work. But, so right now, we have to, I don't think we have to, but we're being advised in the best case, we
To
have to
accept
pass a resolution from the board to accept the bus. We're right now not dedicating any funds to fixing or doing anything with this bus. If we get there,
You'll come back to us.
we'll come back to the board and say, okay, here's what we figured out, here's what we can do. Would the board authorize us to use funds? Or if we find donations or find some other grant funding to do it, we'll explore that option. If we do not, or we decide, at $150,000, it's just unreasonable, Jerry does have the first right of refusal to take his bus back. At this point in time, we have spent no money. Jerry shipped the bus to us. He paid to have it flatbedded here. Right now, it's just sitting in the lot. So this is just something that we wanted to make sure that it didn't. Thank you, Jackie. To work with him to make sure the bus was saved. Maybe there's an idea of something we can do with it. But if there's not, he would take the bus back. Or decide to say, you know what, I don't want it back. You guys can do something with it. Maybe there's a lower cost option we could do. But that would be something we would explore thereafter. So right now, it's just a motion to accept the gift.
Okay. And then.
Sorry, Jack.
When I first saw that, you know what I thought about? I thought about the movie, A League of Their Own. If you guys remember that, the women's baseball league. But when I first saw that, I go, oh my God, but boy, that would have been neat. If that ever got restored and you put that next to the 250th anniversary bus, that would have been neat. Anyway, okay, so no other questions, need a motion.
Bob?
Okay, one of the things you might wanna keep in mind, Okay, everybody's aware in San Francisco, they have a historic landmark, the cable cars.
Mhm.
However, what they also do, and I don't know if it's full-time line use, but on Market Street, they've refurbished a bunch of the old trolley cars, which is different from the cable cars.
Sure.
And a bunch of the old buses. So I don't know if it's a full-time route or full-time line
Yeah.
service, but you might wanna consider, that might be a solution to get the line service money and say, yes, we'll use it, you know.
Yeah,
when
and,
the
and those are
event-
things to explore, to look at. Certainly, you know, looking at the looming fiscal cliff, we're trying to be cognizant of that and make sure we're not moving money here where it should be service on the street or supporting the mission that we're here to do. So we're trying to be creative and find ways to do that. I know New York City does that, so their historic trains will run periodically throughout the year. It may do one trip, it may do one line. I don't know the justification behind it. But they have a historic museum of every train car they've had, all their buses. That's the MTA museum. You know, hindsight, I guess, given our situation over the last 30 or 40 years, it'd be cool to have the same setup, but unfortunately we couldn't do that.
Maybe make a call down there, see what some of their funding
Sure.
sources were. Just
And I think Rochester and Buffalo have some buses too,
Yeah.
but they kept them. They never sold them off originally.
Right.
So, you know, keeping it in the fleet, our team would have maintained it instead of having it parked in a field for 40 years, but.
Right.
Darlene, did you have something to say?
Yeah, how about a Rosa Parks event? I mean, there's a lot of things you could do.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if there's funding for any of that.
Yeah, that's where we're gonna start, you know,
Yeah.
once we get through some of the stuff we're dealing with, the system redesign, BRT, and through that process to find some windows of time to, you know, assess it, see what we can do and you know, see what options are there.
Okay, so we got a motion.
One thing I want to say, I remember when I was in Florida, Bus Simmons was that one.
Sure.
I remember riding on that bus, and when I got on that bus, look, I said, hey, did I sit here before?
Yeah.
Right, all right, sure. Okay, Julius makes the motion on that. Second, Robert, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, so now we're gonna go to bylaws.
No, that's gonna be in the,
I'm sorry.
that's gonna go to general book.
Go to general board, okay, and then we'll do service modification.
Nope.
Nope.
Those are both in general book, so we're good right now.
We're good then, guys. All right, we're gonna, we're adjourned this, and then we're gonna get started right away.
Give me like 2 minutes.
People out because it's the last, meeting in the summer, so I gotta listen to my, mentor here. So we're gonna start off today, we're moving okay, right? Yeah. We're gonna start out with the pledge. Barry's gonna lead the Pledge of Allegiance for us. Thanks, Barry. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next meeting, September 25th. Audit Finance Board meeting, 9:30. I have a motion to approve our regular minutes of July 31st. Neil, second. Heather, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. We're gonna move a little bit around here today because I do have an obligation that's multiple hours away, and I wanna make sure I can get, I wanna make sure I get my pay, I earn my pay today. So I wanna make sure. All right.
Just so she can get set up by your time.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we're gonna go, what I wanna do is, I'm gonna move this around a little bit here today. So we're gonna start out first with the, Audit and Finance Committee.
Sure.
I wanna get all that behind us. Okay, come on, it's all right, come on. All right, so, first of all, Audit and Finance Committee today, as we always, get a good report from Melissa. I think we all thought the numbers looked very well. She pointed out workers' comp, little activity in workers' comp. But otherwise, if somebody looked at the investment part of the reserves, as you notice, there was 30+ million there, which is positioning us well for possibly some tougher times to come in the future, okay? With that being said, can I have a motion to accept the audit, statement of revenues and expenditures? Luella, second. Robert, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Caitlin brought forth the Clever Insights software purchase, been part of our organization for many years. It's a proprietor? Well, how did you mention it? Yeah, proprietary, yeah. I was gonna say sole source, but I get it. Same thing. A motion was made to bring it to the full board. May I have a motion, please, for that? Julius, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Caitlin also brought forth the bulk engine oil purchase, and we noticed there was a little bit of an increase that was more than expected, I think, with the activity in the oil markets right now. And let me just get my Word documents here. Motion was made to award contract to bulk engine oil with a price of $22.50 per gallon. I have a motion, please. Darlene, second. Neil, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Chris brought forward the tire lease that went out to multiple vendors, came back and we did our due diligence. Bridgestone of America, once again, has come forward to be the vendor of choice for a 5-year term. Motion was made to bring it to the full board. May I have a motion, please? Julia, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. And then Jay brought forward the lift equipment vehicle service A and lift equipment vehicle service B. I'm gonna bundle these two. Okay, resolutions, that's 3D and 3E. Okay, where based upon evaluation, that Suburban Transportation for a 5-year term, as we looked at, there was 3 other bidders, and we looked at the low bid, which was Suburban. Motion was made to accept that on both of these resolutions. May I have a motion, please, for Suburban? Darlene, second. Neil, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Supervisory vehicle purchase. And once again, that's 3F. You see, no advertising was required because New York State OGS mini bid procurements. It's an 1010, for a total amount is $34,000 per RAV4 Toyota. And we're looking at purchasing 4 of those at a price of $138 to award contract to Auburn Toyota. I'll look for a motion to accept that. Neil, second. Darlene, we're gonna have one abstention. All in favor, that's gonna be Heather. All in favor? Aye. We also talked about years ago, 1946 twin coach bus that we have on premises right now. We're doing some research on what we're gonna do. If we're gonna do it, if we're gonna find grant money, what's it cost, whatever. We have a lot of options I think the board talked about. And Barry, you're probably gonna be the driver if we put that in. Julius, don't laugh, because that's why he calls in, you're in it, you're gonna be driving. So a motion was made to accept the gift for now, and then we'll see where we go from there. That was 3H. So, I have a motion for that. Julius, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Very good. So, Yep.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Certainly busy month. New York State Fair is here. I will keep my report short, and then we can jump into the meat and bones of today with the equity analysis and system redesign stuff that Paul is going to present with Brett. Met with Governor staff here, Tracy DeGenova, just talking about what the future looks like at Central Projects. It's the first time she's ever been here. Gave her a tour. Very good conversation. Very eye-opening to her on what we do. Working with the city school district on the career and technical education program. They're doing a partnership with us with mechanics. Some of their career, the CTE programs do have mechanics and some professional services that can help us, either mechanics, buildings and grounds, or maybe some salaried administrative positions. So trying to work with them, understand the program, and see if there's an opportunity for us to gain some employment opportunities and certainly help find careers for some of our city school graduates. Community events, we did Tunnels to the Tower Run 5K in Utica. We provided bus service for that. The Mary Nelson Backpack Giveaway, we provided service as they relocated to Meacham Field to try to help individuals get to that location. That was a request from City Fire, from Chief Mullins. We were able to accommodate that. The other piece we did do is a Stuff-A-Bus for back to school supplies in a partnership with the YMCA. So we collected some supplies here. We also did a bus in front of the YMCA for supplies to the Salvation Army. Went very well. We're proud of that partnership. That just continues some of the partnerships we've had with the Stuff-A-Bus for holiday presents and gifts with the YMCA we did last year, and the Roller Express with the YMCA for Lights on the Lake. So great partnership there. We'd love to see it. That's continuing to grow. I was at the Governor's Day at the fair on Wednesday there for the opening, the ribbon cutting of the 2026 fair. Great opportunity to network a lot of our partners, our elected officials here in Central New York, and some of our business partners. So a great event there. And then the last piece is the CMI-RTA subsidiary bylaws and also the approval of the Central and Cortland bylaws. It seemed like this week when we put the bylaws resolution in, the mail actually showed up on time, and some people got their board packets Monday or Tuesday rather than Thursday night. But this bylaw change, and working with Brad and legal counsel to understand all of the subsidiary bylaws and how we can improve the opportunity to get board packets out, streamline how we can send notifications to the media to make sure that they know we have a meeting and everything else. The original bylaws say it has to be done by mail. So even though you mail it out, and the way the mail reform happens, people are not getting the notice in time, or you're not getting your board packets until last minute. And some feedback we've gotten is, I want time to review the board packet. How do I do that? So by allowing us to email it to you, we can send it to you earlier. I will say I'll have conversations. If you do not prefer email, there's a way we can try to work through that. But the initial response is we've gotten the board packet out in compliance with public authorities law via email. We can have hard copies provided to you. We can have hard copies here on the table. But I wanna make sure.
What I
we get the
noticed is,
information
because we don't have a distribution anymore in Utica area, and where it was coming from Syracuse, now I'm seeing things stamped from Rochester.
Mhm.
So there is some movement going on from Syracuse to Rochester, but it's pushing us back a little bit.
Yep.
And the other thing is, possibly, we always have hard copies too, but maybe down the road, I asked Chris to investigate if we had tablets or something that are already just get in here and it's all you gotta do is scroll to. But we'll send it out via email, we could have.
I'm looking at Bruce.
I'm sorry, Bruce, I didn't probably talk, this was as of yesterday, this conversation, at about 5 o'clock, okay? But we're gonna get the tablets from the local kindergarten.
They won't connect it to our Wi-Fi either.
Yeah, but that's some of the things I was thinking of. There's another board I sit on, that's what we do. But just to try to make some things a little bit easier, but we don't wanna put any more pressure on IT, of course, but we wanna try to make it as basic as possible. And I apologize, it's not Chris's fault, it's my fault, so.
So the bylaws are consistent for every subsidiary. The Cortland bylaws are the exact same as the other subsidiaries. So we're asking to make this update for the bylaws to allow us to streamline how we send out the packets, how we notify the media, notifying media if there was ever a special meeting for time constraints. And I would need a motion to approve that, which is.
Questions on this, we're just, it's been this way forever, the way we've done things here.
Yeah, I think the last update was 2006 to the bylaws, so certainly a lot has changed in the last 20 years.
As long as we have the flexibility, I'm sure some folks like paper,
Yeah.
but as long as
Yeah.
we get it early,
This
we all
gives
get
us that
emails,
opportunity.
yeah.
It's just some things, it's getting harder and harder to rely on that coming to you. I mean, I've seen it, you guys are a little closer here, but to me, I might not get this stuff until maybe Wednesday.
Right. I mean, with Julius and Luella that live a couple blocks away, I mean, it's still
Well,
taking you that same time frame.
Sometimes they don't.
Right. So we wanna make sure that we're getting them out and have that flexibility, and that if you want it, like I said, hard copy, if you're comfortable with the electronic version or not, then we can handle that, and we'll take that on a case by case. So I'll work with all of you to figure out what's best for you.
So, we have a resolution there?
Yes.
Yeah, so 3G,
Yes.
okay, everybody sure looked at that. Any more questions on that? Otherwise, I need a motion to accept that. Heather, second, Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. And if we gotta modify things down the road, we can come back and modify that.
Sure.
Modify it again.
I mean, they're pretty simple and straightforward. I mean, I don't think there's anything earth shattering.
Yeah, no, honestly, I was kind of surprised by how most of the stuff in the bylaws seemed fine.
Right.
Even with the passage of time, it
Yeah.
did not need to be changed. But we can, it's just a matter of another board meeting to do further amendments if we need to.
Right. So getting into some of the meat and potatoes, Paula is at the table. Bren, between the two of you, I don't know how you want to set it up or knock it down. But we have some significant approvals today that we're proud of, and the work that we've done and working with everybody in the community, the Cortland community, Onondaga County community, to get this passed and through to start the next steps for our system redesign and some work in Cortland. So I'll turn it over to Bren.
Yeah, I'll start. Good morning. You have some paperwork in front of you that Paula is holding up the example, if you want to follow along on that, but we're also going to have some stuff on the screen for you. I tell you all the time, but maybe you don't know, that our team has been working behind the scenes really hard to make some changes and make our systems make more sense. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Cortland. As you know, we started service there in March of 2025, so it's been almost a year and a half that we've been doing service there. And we started out really taking the service the way that it was by the previous provider. But then we have spent the last year looking at experimental changes in the service to see what works and what doesn't work. So this is about the service changes and also about the fare changes. This first section is about service changes in Cortland. We did about 6 major changes in our system there, and they are listed here. I'll go over what they were. The Cortland 5 we discontinued the loop to increase efficiency. I'll show you a map in a minute. But one of the things that we really try to do in service is not loop. We try to go down and back to make it more efficient for the riders and for our buses. So we ended the route in Willett, and customers can then board in either direction and don't have to stay on the bus to loop all the way around. For Cortland 11, we added this new route, and that serves Virgil, Greek Peak, Messengerville, and Marathon, so a couple new communities that we were able to serve there. For the Route 6, we're ending this at TC3, and we are bypassing SUNY Cortland. So two things, the SUNY Cortland has their own.
TC2 is talking about Community College.
Thank you. SUNY Cortland has their own busing system, so we don't really need to go through there because they have their own buses. So we're bypassing them, but we also, the previous provider and at the beginning of our service, we were going all the way into Ithaca to Cornell. You can see number 4 also talks about this. We realized once we started looking at the routes that at TC3, we were meeting up with TCAT buses, and we were literally following TCAT buses to Ithaca. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense for us to be duplicating that service. So we have had multiple conversations with TCAT to make sure that everybody could transfer easily. We make sure that our schedules are aligned, again, with that transfer at TC3. But our end of that route is now at TC3 instead of going all the way into Ithaca and Cornell. Folks can still get there by getting on a TCAT bus. Again, with the looping, we looked at routes 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we eliminated the looping. We streamlined the routes, similar to what we did in Rome and what we're doing here in Syracuse, really just trying to make the routes make more sense. And through that, we were able to increase frequency to 40 minutes and add 2 trips a day. That's awesome, gives people more options, right? And then lastly, with our big changes, we extended the Cortland 1. This was a request by the, I'm trying to think, the health department maybe in Cortland County requested that we think about the recreational areas. So we extended that route a little bit. We were able to do it in our time frame and not have to decrease frequency. And we were able to extend to a couple of recreation areas so folks can get to these cool recreational spots in the county. So this map shows you the differences that we've made, the changes again with these temporary amendments up until this point in the last year. You can see the dotted lines are the discontinued service, but again, the one to the southwest is going into Ithaca, so that's just making that more efficient. And the other routes that were discontinued really didn't have ridership on it. So we're trying to put ridership, put the routes where the riders are, right? And make it more efficient for everyone. And then I'm gonna hand it over to Paula to talk about what we did with this information as far as equity bands.
Thanks, Fran. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Happy Peak Equity here today during the Great New York State Fair. So, I'm here to talk to you about the Title VI portion of this. So as you know, we are required to evaluate the impacts of service and fare changes on passengers who are transit dependent, specifically our minority and low-income populations. So we're going to start with the service equity analysis portion. And so here we have a basic demographic summary of Cortland County based on ACS data. The minority population is approximately 10.3%, and our low-income population is 20.9%. So then we're going to move into the meat and potatoes of my analysis, which basically is to show you the map that's in the handout that you received. And so what we do is we make buffers, right? We take a quarter mile from urban population routes based on population density and a half a mile from those that are considered suburban or rural. And we create zones, we merge them together, and then we compare them. So we have the original service area, which is in the blue, and we have the revised service area, which is in the green. And basically, to make it easy for everyone to understand, you just lay them over each other. And anything that's blue on this map would be considered not covered by our new service area, right? So that is gonna be what Bren was speaking to about, on the left side of the map near Route 13, where we're no longer going to Ithaca, and then the looping that we took out on the south side, southeast side there by Willett. So from this information, we are able to determine the affected population. So the affected population we're gonna look at are the people that would be in the blue areas here. So as a result of the analysis, we found that there is neither a disparate impact or a disproportionate burden to minority and low-income populations, because we are not impacting minorities or low-income populations more than their fair share with any of these service changes. So what we look at is the absolute difference between the minority and the non-minority persons affected, which is in this case negative 16.3. So non-minority persons are more impacted, if you will. And then with the low income and non-low income, the difference is negative 23.4%, with again the non-low income person seeing the greater impact. So our policy thresholds are 30% on minority and 34% on non-minority, low income, 34% on low income, which you approved in our policies last year. So, in conclusion, the incremental changes to the Cortland system have improved and simplified the routing while continuing to serve the Cortland community with a greater frequency. And there is no disparate impact nor disproportionate burden as a result of these changes. And at this time, I will pause and see if there's any questions on the service equity analysis.
I'll also point out that when Chris and Nick and I went a couple months ago to the Cortland legislative meeting, we had a great conversation with the legislature, and 4 or 5 legislators put their hand up to make comments. And I've always got my notebook out and I'm ready to take complaints, and there were no complaints. There was only good things in Cortland, that they are hearing good things about us. They appreciate us being here.
I got a nice handwritten note by the chairman, it was nice.
That's awesome. So it seems like the changes that we are making are working for the community, which is awesome.
I have 2 small questions.
Sure.
The connection with TCAT, are you guys doing transfer passes over there, or no transfers, just fare, they get off the hay fare?
Correct.
And then in the Chenango connection, are they, or Cortland Chenango Rural Services, is that anything to do with Chenango County and the services that they're operating? It says Cortland Chenango Rural Services Inc. Is that anywhere near Chenango, or is that just the name of it?
Well, Chenango's up in Madison County.
Okay, that makes sense, so different Chenango.
So, yeah, Chenango, right, I'm pretty sure that Chenango's in Madison County.
Not Chenango, Chenango.
Oh, Chenango, I thought
Chenango,
okay,
the
sorry.
corner
I know,
adjacent. It is
but
adjacent
there's
to Cortland County, but
I'm
I'm
sorry.
not sure if there's.
Well, because I know
I
that
don't-
Chenango County they're running their own smaller
Correct,
system, and
it's
I didn't know if it was
yeah.
connecting or.
We are not currently
Right now, we're
connecting to their
not.
service,
Okay.
so, yeah,
And they haven't reached out to do so.
they haven't reached out, yeah.
Great connection with TCAT, that's awesome.
And we're constantly having conversations. In fact, I talked to them a couple weeks ago, and they are purposely not making any changes until they talk to us, so that we can make sure we make that connection.
So we need a motion to accept the equity analysis.
Motion to accept it, Luella, Robert, second, any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, so now we're gonna roll right into the Cortland County Fair Equity Analysis, which is the next document in your packet, and there's a full report provided on this. So when a fair change to a fair type is proposed, we have to analyze the fair media usage to determine the number and percent of users of each type of fair media that's being changed. So this is to identify if minority or low-income persons are disproportionately more likely to use that fare, and the type of, and how that would impact them. So, as you may know, in Cortland, the center of Portland is being equipped with electronic fare boxes. Passes will be available for purchase on the bus and in the Go Central bus app. Contactless credit cards and smart devices will be accepted through the tap to pay functionality. Tokens are no longer going to be accepted once the fare boxes go into service, because they were a legacy payment type through Portland Transit and are not accepted by the fare box. And we had already, discussed that in the previous fare equity analysis that we did way back in March of last year, when we made some changes to the fares in Portland County. But now, it's time to make one change really, to their payments. So the focus of this analysis is on the discontinuance of the monthly pass, which would be effective December 31st, January 1st, so that it would no longer be used as a calendar year. And of course, you know about all the other run passes and ways things are accepted in the fare box, so I'm not gonna dwell on that. So again, the focus of this analysis is on the discontinuance of the monthly pass. We did perform writer surveys. Those were done in July of this year by the Service Development Department with some assistance from other persons. Paper surveys were handed out and collected back from approximately 35% of the daily ridership, which is actually really great for a survey. So Portland's ridership is approximately 99 unique riders per day. We don't know for certain though, because again, they don't have any electronic fare media, so we can't really track how many times people are using their passes. But they are looking at, based on the surveys conducted, 23% minorities and 81% low income. Which yes, is a very staggering amount, but of course, that's what we're here for, right? We're here to serve the people who need the service, and low income people, of course, we're here. So, we're gonna look at the impact of discontinuing the monthly pass. So basically, we have to take, based on the surveys, how many people that were minority or non-minority that used each type of payment. In this case, for minority folks, they are below the threshold, the 30% threshold. They use the pass less than their non-minority counterparts, so there is no there's no disparate impact here. And then when we look at the monthly pass, as far as low income persons go, low income does have a higher percentage, and in the number game, it would trip the threshold to be a disproportionate burden, because it's above the 34% threshold. So we're looking at 66.7% approximately of adult monthly passes, and 100% of the half-fare monthly passes are being used by low-income persons. So something to note, and Melissa can chime in if she wants here, is that what we found from working in revenue collections is the passes aren't necessarily being purchased by members of the public, as there are a lot that are sold to agencies, and the agencies distribute them. And some of those passes are not being used at the beginning of the month, they're being distributed in the second or third weeks of the month. And so there's not an opportunity for the passes to actually be utilized the way they should. So what we did was this monthly pass usage analysis. And the chart on the left shows you, in blue, those are the monthly pass payments that we have recorded from our drivers. In purple, that is the expected ridership we would see if everybody used the pass 40 times a month. So the pass costs $40 for full fare and $20 for half fare. So to get your money's worth, you have to use it 40 times a month. So as you can see from this chart, there's almost, in some cases, it's like 200% difference. If people were using those passes to their full advantage of the 40 rides, our ridership there would be much higher. Yes, significantly higher. So based on the available data, those passes are not being fully utilized at all. And so then we also needed to look at the estimated cost per trip, which might be hard to see. If Mr. Davis, would you mind scooching that chair?
Jason, can you better pull that out of the way?
Jason, sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry, sir. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so the estimated cost per trip. So the average estimated cost per trip on a half-fare ride, based on the available data, is $1.54 when it should be 50 cents. And on a full fare ride, it's $3.08 when it should be $1. So what we have come to find out is that customers will save approximately 67.5% on average by paying with either cash, tap to pay, or 10 ride passes, which is huge.
Yeah.
So not just for, again, because we don't know exactly the percentage of customers purchasing the passes and agencies distributing the passes, even the agencies are gonna see a savings, which is great for them, right?
Do you give this data to the agencies? Do they know the utilization of these passes?
Yes, Jennifer does communicate that with me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we can't, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Paul, you're good.
We can't track exactly which pass was used because again, it's just a card that they show the driver and then the driver marks down a pass was used.
But-
So unfortunately, we don't know exactly how many times each individual pass is used.
But with the new fare box, we now, every pass is coded. So when they sell the serial number to say Oswego County Department of Health, they know what batch went to them. And then when we look in the system with the new fare boxes, we can see those passes being used. Now we know they're Department of Health passes. Today, we don't, prior to today, we didn't know that. The fare boxes were just installed in the last 2 weeks. So now going forward, we can start tracking that and narrow it down and then let them know. But with the new technology, they now have more options or different options to hopefully exercise this savings. And then we can also let them know. But before, it was just a generic, they were handing them out, it's a card, there's no tracking of it, it's manual. So this now will allow us to make sure that we're reaching out to them.
That's fabulous. A lot of those are nonprofit organizations that use a lot of that money to pay for it.
Absolutely.
It's great.
So it will make more sense for them to actually, if they wanna do passes, buy the Timer Pass, and then they're getting a one-for-one.
Yep.
So they're making sure that they're getting their money. So discontinuing the monthly pass decreases the average fare paid by both minority and low-income customers, and there is no disparate impact as a result of discontinuing the monthly pass.
Other than we're losing some revenue.
Any other questions about the fare equity analysis?
Just one thing too, we're gonna need a motion too for the public hearing for this. So I don't wanna
They can do
forget
it with
that.
this one, yep.
Yes, I'm gonna ask for that motion right now.
And that public hearing will be in October.
Motion for the public hearing. Tony, second. Heather, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. So I just wanted to get that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, as Brenda was saying, our public hearing is looking for October 2026. We will evaluate the public hearing feedback as we always do, make any necessary changes to our service design. We will complete the public hearing report and finalize the equity analyses, and those will be presented to you hopefully in November for board approval. And then the plan is to discontinue the monthly pass. In your original paperwork, it said December 1st, 2026, but that was before we planned the public hearing for October as opposed to September. So we're planning to discontinue the monthly pass at the end of December, so it will no longer be used in January. And then, so we would just need the motion for the fare equity analysis.
Very good. That was good. I like your, you always know.
What happened the night of this deadly plane crash back in March at New York's lukewarm?
But I like your motivation. We all like your motivation here. So
Oh, thanks.
maybe that should rub off on you a little bit, so. Hey, folks, I'm gonna excuse myself. I'm gonna be coming on the phone. Tony and Neil are gonna help guide us through the rest of the meeting here. All right, and, I'll be on the phone, but I need to make, get some, but I appreciate
So we did not need a motion to approve the fare.
Yes, we do.
We did.
We did one motion, we did a motion for the fair equity analysis, and we did a motion for the
We did
public hearing.
we did the service equity analysis. I think fare is separate.
So should that be,
So we need a-
should that be 3 motions total?
It's a,
Yeah,
so
okay.
we need a third
Or
separate
is it-
motion now to
Good
approve the
catch,
fare.
good catch. So I need a motion on the fair equity analysis for Portland. Neil, second. Heather, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
So the first motion you put out there was for the service.
Service, right.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got, there was
Terry,
three of them.
you got that, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay. All right, folks, I'll be on the phone shortly. Thank you. Have a great day.
And for that, Portland, I wanted to thank our service development team, and obviously Paula has done a great job with this equity analysis. The way that you figured out how folks were actually gonna save money in the end is awesome.
And we should also thank transit analyst Brandy Mack for her assistance in creating the map using Remix, which we invested in and was a great product. Thank you.
So
Let's keep rolling.
next, we're gonna go into the Better Bus Onondaga. This is our final service equity analysis findings, and you know we've been talking about this for a while now. As you know, we have had this public hearing earlier this year in April, and we had a bunch of comments. So after that public hearing, we really went back to the drawing board, not completely, I don't wanna say back to the drawing board, but back to, I don't know, where's the middle ground of a drawing board?
Planning.
Right, planning, and said, you know, what are the concerns, how can we, help with these concerns? So, It took us a minute to work with our consultants, to work with our service development team, to figure out what could be reinstated, what could be adjusted, how that would impact the overall service for the system redesign, and how that plays into our hours and drivers and all of that. So it was a lot of work to figure out what the next steps were. We are proposing to reinstate fixed route service in 6 areas, and I'll show you where those are in a minute. So again, we went to public hearing, we said, this is our plan, and the public said, we still have some issues with this, that, and the other thing, right? So we went back to this, that, and the other thing, and figured out what we could do. One of those things is extending service hours to our Regional Transportation Center to give more options for that. Bus, train connection. One of the things we added was a fixed route commuter service in the Henry Clay Move Zone. We also added back in, and I think it's on the next page, so I'll move to the next page. So here we are, again, these changes, these updates since the last time you saw our plan, still make this system redesign work well. So one of the concerns was Midland Ave, that folks were concerned that we were removing service from Midland Ave. We do have service a block in either direction on Salina and on South Ave, but because of that concern, we are returning service along Midland Ave. We are returning service on Downer Street in Baldwinsville, again, because of customer concerns. Another area we're adding service back in is that Florida Road area just south of the airport in Mattydale. That was a customer concern that several people brought up. We are extending our route to Drumlin's Golf Course, which we serve now, and so we are continuing that service all the way out to Drumlin's. The Brewerton Park and Ride and Central Square, those go together. We'll be hitting the Brewerton Park and Ride, and in order to maintain that connection with Oswego County, we are continuing our service to Central Square. And then, again, like I talked about in the last slide, we are extending hours to the RTC and adding commuter service to Crossroads Park Drive. For those of you who were at that public hearing, one of the concerns that we heard from maybe 10 or 12 folks was there's a business, an employer out in the Crossroads Park area in Liverpool that a bunch of folks were getting to at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and leaving at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and they were concerned that the on-demand bus that we were putting in that area wouldn't be able to accommodate that. So in order to cover that, we've added that early morning and peak time service for fixed route to make sure that that employer is covered.
You say, on the area, you say return service to Milton Mayor. In other words, you're not going around by Price right anymore. You're putting this totally through Milton Ave. Is that what you're saying?
We are,
From my understanding, you used to have the route where you used to go down to Price Right, and come down and come back to Milton Ave. So you're talking about.
we're extending to our routes, one on the south side and one on the north side, and I'm looking at where that's actually gonna be. We're still going past Price Right.
Well, so in other words, you're going to.
Yep.
Instead of where it's going right now, you're going to go back to the where you come, and then you come down West Kennedy.
It'll come down South Ave, I believe,
Yeah,
and then past Price Right.
And then come back to West Kennedy, back down to
It
Milton.
won't go past West Kennedy,
We'll go past it, it won't go down it.
correct. It'll go past it, it won't go down it, yes, thank you, thank you. So these maps show it a little bit better than apparently I can explain it. The current route is on the left, and then the proposed service is on the right. Again, this includes all of these changes that we've made to our most recent plan to alleviate customer concerns. The yellow areas where we're adding service to our current service. The dotted lines, you can't see many of them, and that's good because that's where we're just continuing service. And then the move zones are those in purple, those 3 zones, again, the Henry Clay Boulevard area, the Curious Circle area, and the mail-in area that will be on-demand service. Yeah, and then I'm gonna pass it over to Paula for how we then analyze it. I say we, I mean Paula.
Thanks, Fran. I'm back. Okay, so we have updated the original equity analysis that was completed earlier this year. Just a recap. Onondaga County demographic summary is 25.4% minority, 21.7% low income. You've already been over the details on how I conducted watershed analysis. The thing to know is that this is stop-based, whereas the Portland service was route-based because they don't really have stops yet. But we definitely have stops already established in the Syracuse area, so we're able to perform a watershed analysis, which is looking at 1/4 of a mile and 1/2 mile from stop locations using a highly complex system of analysis. Not what it needs, but this is what it looks like. So looking at our entire service area, including the move zone, we are going to continue to serve populations exceeding our county average for minorities and low income. And there's really only a negative 0.6% difference between minority and low incomes persons served as a result of the old system and the new system. So we really are continuing to serve the people that we were serving before. Here's just the charts to show that the absolute difference in the total population, so you can see the difference in the population according to, again, this is all according to mapping technology and census data analysis. Okay. So the part 2 of this is trying to find out who the affected persons are, right? So what we are going to do, similar to the previous analysis I showed you, but a little more in depth now. This is like fun with colors. So yellow and blue make green in this case, right? So yellow, anything you see in yellow on that map is part of the proposed stop area, the stop watershed that's not currently part of our service area. Anything in blue is the current stop area that's not covered by the new service, and the green is everything that is still covered. So as you can see, there is a significant amount of the old service area that is still covered by the new service area. But this doesn't include the move zone. So when we look at it even one step further to see who's affected, we look at this map. And now we're looking at all these little like brown areas, like little brown outlined areas. That's the area that we're actually, according to the analysis, no longer serving. So it's really a fraction of the overall service. So again, this is the walking area that's not part of our proposed service. So you can see that. And of course, there's more details in the actual report itself. But when we look at the numbers, right, that's what we need to know about. So are we hitting our thresholds? And we are not going to have a disparate impact on minority populations, and there is no disproportionate burden on low-income populations. Again, they are not being more adversely affected than the other, and they do not meet either of our thresholds, which is what we wanted to get to. Ideally, right? We don't want to impact those populations, and we won't be. The redesigned system will feature improved, simplified routing that will continue to serve Syracuse and the surrounding communities, but with greater frequency. And as I stated over and over again, there is no disparate impact nor disproportionate burden associated with those changes. Does anyone have any questions about the service activity analysis on the current proposed system redesign?
So our next steps then are requesting a motion acknowledging the results of this service equity analysis, and then additional motions, but I feel like I should do one at a time.
Correct.
Yeah. Awesome. Heather?
Yeah. I thought Neil was standing in.
That's one step on your toe.
So we need a request for, which one, is this I?
That top one. It is,
This isn't in the packet, but it's
Oh, it's not in
the
the-
motion to accept the, acknowledge the results of the
Service
service
equity
equity
analysis.
analysis.
All right, Luella?
Yeah.
And Heather? Okay.
And
All in
then,
favor? We're gonna do it first. You're doing out the way. All in favor? Okay. Next one, motion to authorize service modifications in CNY Central. Need a motion? Julius? Second? Okay. All in favor?
Yes. We're dialing Nick in just so it's here. I want to thank everybody for their work on this. I know it's a lot of work behind the scenes that we've put in and the team has put in, the service development team, the marketing team. Certainly feedback from the board. We met with Heather a few times to walk through it. We've talked with Julius. We've talked with a lot of the constituents. This is the first overhaul of the system we've done in over 20 years. If you look at the history of service changes we've made in those 20 years, it's been nothing but cuts. And we've gotten to a point where the cuts of the service were cost-saving measures, trying to, consolidate services to serve certain areas, or maybe we cut a line and then rerouted a bus to serve an area, which makes the routes in the long run inefficient over time. So we're extremely excited about this opportunity to the next steps in revamping the system. We have a lot of change coming in Central New York, and this system redesign is going to help us adapt to that change. So I want to thank everybody that, Brent's team and Paula for the work. I know these are not easy reports to put together, and making sure that we're sharing the details, the demographics, and making sure that we're not approving something or asking you guys to approve something that is inaccurate. And these reports have, light years away from what we've presented in the past. I know Darlene and Luella, you've been here and seen some of these reports, but the detail. So I just want to thank the entire team and everybody for doing the work. It happens behind the scenes and we work through it, but now we're going to start seeing results happen and things changing, which is what we need to do. So I want to thank everybody. I know the city, you guys have provided feedback to us as well, and this is just the segue of the next year to get the system on board, which will then segue into bus rapid transit, which is something we've been talking about for a number of years. But thank you to everybody for their hard work and their commitment to get this done. We took the time. I know you guys were here. We were in April doing the open house and the public hearing, and the team did do their due diligence to look at every comment, every feedback, the emails, the messages that we received, and responded to every single one of them. So people that have made comments, anybody that's in your areas or you represent or have reached out to you, they're going to receive or have received a comment from us about what our outcome is or what the solution was, to make sure that we've listened and we've got there. So,
Because I think it's also important though that it adds to the integrity of the authority when we're listening to people and they can see the changes. That makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
it's really been our theme, we heard you say this, and so we're doing this in response to it. We're also adding, in addition to individually responding to the people that we have their contact information, we're adding a frequently asked questions page to our website so that people can see the result of the public hearing, right? You heard people say this, and this is what we're doing about it.
I agree, because it's over the course of the years. During this time in the season, I've seen more advancement into listening to the community and really trying to put it into action. So there has been a great improvement in that area.
Yeah, the team's worked out
I
good.
don't know where this would fit into the report. I know last week you had a training here with Derek.
Yeah. We'll talk about that offline.
Okay.
So with regards to this, I think it's, as Chris mentioned, huge improvement, I think, over what's been in the past. A lot of good outreach, starting with SMTC, building off of their work. I think on our side, we've heard a lot of good things. There's a flurry of info about the loop at first, the potential loop. It is mentioned, I know it's phase 2, I'm just gonna urge us to keep our eyes on phase 2 as well. That gets us into that north side area. Extra service to the RTC, I think is a great addition, so looks like there's a lot of good stuff coming. There's some potential in a phase 2 for a little bit more, which I think personally I'm excited for, and I know I heard a lot about that. It's been probably a year now since that first introduction, or the first flurry of questions, but yeah, it's been a good process so far, and it's a big thing, right? And normally people like to complain about the big things. It's scary, it's change, but this is one that I think has done a really good job with the outreach.
Thank you. And certainly I didn't, you know, our SMTC partners are here with us, Mario and Joey and the team there. You know, they've been crucial in feedback and really, I think coming from Jim and you guys can probably, they do a lot of studies, and the studies then get approved and they go on a shelf. But we are now taking some of those studies off the shelf and putting them into practice, which is a true testament of the work they do and that the work is valuable. That saved us and allowed us to move forward with it. So thank you guys as well and the team back there. Please send our thanks.
You know, Oswego County is super appreciative of Centra keeping the Central Square run and keeping that connection in that portion of our county. I know there was a lot of people in the legislature that were just super grateful that you guys came and took the time to meet with them, listen to their concerns, and then put that back into the plan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And we appreciate that feedback and the conversations. You know, certainly we know of a project called Micron and you guys are doing some things. And we're seeing it throughout out central New York, but knowing the future there, you know, makes sense. So, any questions?
No, we did, just to clarify, we did call it a motion. Do we need to call it a resolution?
Yes, motion.
Okay, great, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We took your agenda, I think, called old business.
I think we've done everything except old business.
I gave you the agenda, so at the bottom you should, everything is done for motion wise, so it's just old business, new business, and then Neil has a motion.
Well, any old business?
Should I bring this up now?
No.
Is there any new business? Because I think we need to go into executive session.
Yes, sir. So Neil has a motion.
Yeah, motion to enter into executive session to obtain advice from counsel.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. When we come out, there'll be.
We did a motion?
Yeah, someone.
Oh, sorry.
Motion.
You need a motion, you need a first, a second, sorry.
Heather?
Enjoy this. Heather Llewellyn.
No action was taken in our executive session.
Okay. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
So,
Luella,